There are abundant stories of Muslim converts in recent years. One interesting story is that of a Roman Catholic from Canada named Craig Robertson, who went through many phases of pain and loneliness and broke many barriers of struggle to reach his ultimate destination of peace. Alhamdulillah. To begin with, Craig Robertson was a devoted member of the church who would regularly attend the services on Sundays. Craig even enrolled in a Catholic school and spent a lot of time studying the Catholic religion. He excelled in the studies of religion to the point that his parents had him become the altar boy. Much to the delight of his grandparents, he had no idea how drastically his life would change. Moving on, there came a time when his faith began to waver, and he asked his mother, "Is our religion the correct one?" His mother would remark sarcastically that religions are all the same in response. Craig was unsatisfied with his mother's response, and he began to doubt his own convictions. The turning point in his life came when Craig's grandmother passed when he was just 12, affecting him both spiritually and physically. He was crushed by his grandmother's passing, and all of a sudden, he turned to an angry little kid who wanted to avenge his grandmother's death by punishing God. He started using foul language all the time and making fun of those who were in any way beneath him. Additionally, he struggled to fit in at a public school, and he realized that his experience at a Catholic school had not taught him how to engage with other kids. As a result, other children would harass and bully him. In addition to that, Craig turned into an uncooperative boy who would refuse his parents' attempts to reason with him. So, he spent the better part of his whole youth alone. After graduating from high school, he believed that perhaps finding a decent career and earning a solid living would please him with his life. But things were only to worsen. Speaking of, he began using marijuana. As a result of some nasty work colleagues, he became so dependent on drugs that he began to disobey his parents and left the house. Even though his parents forbade it, Craig stopped bothering going to school and started stealing food from his job. Now that the females were paying attention to him, he really liked it. But when he wasn't doing drugs, he felt empty within. And again, he sorely craved a change. Resultantly, he saw a witchcraft performance, and after reading a few books about nature worship, he got encouraged to look for natural remedies. Only one of his friends, a devout Christian, stood by him. Throughout this difficult period, he even asked Craig to go on a pilgrimage with him. Craig viewed it as a chance to mock and humiliate the believers. The group convened a service in the auditorium when the second evening arrived, and they began to sing a chorus of Bible songs. Correspondingly, he saw men and women crying in such misery, and he was astonished to see people acting in such a way. For a brief moment, he even sought to join the others in prayer by closing his eyes. Naturally, as he begged for forgiveness, tears sprang from his eyes, and he experienced a burst of strength. That day marked the start of the end of all the previous misdeeds he had committed. After that experience, he threw away all of his narcotics and even advised his friends to become Christians. When they rejected him, he realized that they weren't really his pals and were instead using him and guiding him wrong. Anyhow, when it comes to Craig's conversion to Islam, it began when he saw a Muslim youngster at a youth center where all the young Christian lads gathered to debate religion. One of the teenagers brought his 14-year-old pal along. Craig was particularly drawn to the youngster since he exuded such serenity and confidence. He was embarrassed by all the Christians, who were even cursing at him, but he just grinned back. This really blew Craig's mind, and the boy's character pleased him. Craig felt free to steal the Quran that the youngster had left at the youth center. After reading the book, he realized that the Quran was more sensible than the Bible. He apparently lost his temper and hurled the Quran into the couch, believing that his views on Christianity were being called into doubt. He started going to church more frequently and immersed himself in Christianity. But despite of all that, he felt incomplete. One day, he began to pray in the manner of Muslims at the mosque, asking God to force him to submit to the one and only God. Moreover, one of his friends sexually assaulted his girlfriend while she was intoxicated, and the man who spoke at the youth center abused a little kid. These events led him to having doubts about Christianity. A few days later, Craig's manager informed him that a Muslim employee would be joining the company and asked that everyone respect his right to practice his religion. The new worker began his work by dua and educating people about Islam. Craig could already sense a shift in his heart. The following day, he returned home and prayed fervently for the first time in his life. Jesus, God, Buddha, whomever you are, please, please lead me. I need you. I need your assistance, since I have done so much bad in my life. The following day, he went to a Muslim co-worker and announced his intention to convert to Islam. Alhamdulillah. After his conversion, once he came to learn about the restrictions imposed by Islam on things like sex, drinking, and the importance of wearing a hijab, Craig realized that Islam is indeed the authentic religion in which believers conduct their lives in preparation for a better afterlife. After his conversion, Craig changed his name to Abdullah al-Kanadi. May Allah increase each one of our faiths and make it in accord to that which pleases Him and grant us His paradise. Ameen.
All the praise is for Allah, who is the author of all existence and the most generous to His creation, while He is also the all-compelling.